This is the brand new Macan EV.
Don't stop.
Now, Porsche decided that they need to go all electric, and after the Taycan, this is their all-ever first electric SUV. We obviously did the launch. I attended the launch of this car in Dubai, but we are now here driving this car. After icons of Porsche, you have seen a ton of Porsche history and pedigree and all the classics and everything else that Porsche has to offer. But can they take the essence of a Porsche into this car? Is it capable enough? Is it dynamic enough? Does it have great handling? Is it fast? Does it steer well, handle well, accelerate well? And can you rely on it like you rely on your regular petrol Porsches? That's what we are here to find out. Well, this is the Macan Turbo. Now, this car is the fully loaded, top of the line, top dog Macan. We have driven the Macan 4 as well. Differences visually are small, but the biggest change comes in how they behave and how dynamically they behave and change when you go between a Macan 4 and a Macan Turbo. Okay, so let's talk about the looks of the Macan EV. It definitely has the entire Macan silhouette. Now this is a top of the dog, top line Macan Turbo. So it's got all the bells and whistles. It's got the Matrix LED headlights. These are your daytime running lamps. This is very flat over here for aerodynamic purposes. The drag coefficient is 0.25, which is pretty good. It gets the brand new Turbo Night badge over here. The aggressive splitter or diffuser in the front that channels air around the car, and the very cool matching rims. Now obviously this is a very high spec car, so it's got a lot of things going on for it. You will see that it maintains the Macan silhouette. So this is taking the old shape Macan and just kind of going slightly bigger, wider, longer. Because the battery is lower down, it gets a lot more interior space as well. So there's a lot going on for the car. It's a bit more comfortable. It has more space than the regular Macan. Almost competes with the Cayenne in terms of space in that sense. Now, it retains the side blades, the petrol Macan, and these can be painted, can be left black, can get carbon fiber. You can do tons of specs or customization on the side blades. Moving behind, it's got the fastback or the sloping roofline of Macans, and like any other sports car or Porsche cars, it's got frameless windows, which is very cool looking. Now this part is specifically for the turbo. If you see a regular Macan 4 or 4S, you won't see this section. It's a little different. It's a bit more flat. It gets the 3-dimension Porsche logo. You can see that as well, and the extended light bar. A lot more luggage space at the back. But how does it drive? Well, let's hop in and take you for a spin. We are in the brand new Macan, and the Macan, which is all electric, comes in 4 different variations. The base Macan, which is rear wheel drive, Macan 4, which is all wheel drive, Macan 4S, obviously, which is all wheel drive again, but with a bit more power, and then the big daddy of the Macan range, the Macan Turbo, which has all-wheel drive, all the bells and whistles, and is fast. Now we are currently driving the Macan 4, so base Macan with all-wheel drive system, and then we'll switch over to the Macan Turbo. At the moment, the car feels nice, comfortable, smooth to drive. All the cars come with air suspension in the Middle East region. That means even the base car gets air suspension. Since all the cars come with air suspension, you can spec your Macan with multiple other performance features, such as a sport chrono pack and the sport suspension or the updated suspension, which gets torque vectoring, rear wheel steer, and multiple other Porsche acronyms to make sure your car is flat, steady through corners, and obviously fast. Porsche claims that the Macan has the essence of the Porsche DNA. Hence, keep your essence is what they gave us on the t-shirt when they launched the car here. Now, Does this have that Porsche DNA? That means it's not only good in the straight line, it's great at handling, it's great in the twisties, and it's a good performance SUV. We all know how good the Cayenne and the Macan are otherwise. I love the Cayenne, I love the Macan ICE one, the petrol one. But is the electric Macan good enough to have the Porsche name, to have the Porsche DNA? Does it have that essence? We are about to find out just now. So we have driven the Macan 4 and the Macan Turbo. Now the Macan 4 has roughly around 410 horsepower, around 610 or 15 kilometers of range, give or take. All Macans come with fast charging with the 800 watt architecture, and it also comes with a special 400 watt architecture where in case there isn't enough current, it can split the battery pack into two halves, making sure one side gets charged quicker. Very interesting thing. I'm going to study more about it because we didn't get enough time to understand how this works, but there's a lot of technical stuff that happens in this car. So Macan 4 feels planted, feels comfortable, ride is nice, compliant. Move it to sports mode, it is engaging in drive, but to me kind of feels it needs a few more horses. It does 0 to 100, if I'm not mistaken, in 5.9 seconds or 5.7 seconds, something like that. Maybe a little lesser, but does feel a bit sluggish to me. Now, I am not the one who craves speed all the time, but I could do with a little more horsepower. Now we are going to do in-depth reviews of these cars more once we get the cars for a longer duration with charging and testing and all of that stuff. We have the cars for a short period of time and we are switching between the Macan 4 and now the Macan Turbo. The Macan Turbo instantly feels much more faster. It feels much more sportier. You can move it to Sport Plus and it goes. It's got roughly around 610 horsepower, if I'm not mistaken. The 0 to 100 is 3.1 or 3.2 seconds. The car feels properly quick. It's got rear axle steer, torque vectoring, and multiple other features to make it perform more dynamically. All of this makes it a proper handling car, which is very impressive for a high riding electric SUV. Now it gets all the new tech, new screens, updated interiors, updated infotainment, all of the stuff, all of the bells and whistles that matter to most people. It gets the LED that changes inside, LED colors that change inside as per your drive mode. So multiple cool things that make it happening, funky, dynamic, relevant to today's consumer. Obviously people who are more environmentally conscious can get recycled interiors and the vegan leather-free interiors, but this car has the leather pack, which I personally love. It also gets the updated sports steering wheel with the carbon fiber and the thicker rim. You can also get a base steering wheel on the Macan 4. Basically, between all the trim levels and all the drive options, technically all the motor options, you can spec the car to however whatever you want, and you can keep throwing money at it to make sure your car can be literally one in the whole wide world. That is how crazy you can get with exclusive manufacture at Porsche and Sonderworks and all of that stuff. Now, this has all-wheel drive because it's got a dual motor setup. The Macan 4 also has all-wheel drive. There's also a base Macan with only rear-wheel drive. That has the lowest horsepower but maximum range, whereas the Turbo has the highest horsepower but the least amount of range. Now, depending on what your needs are, you can get the right type of Macan just for you. And that's a pretty cool thing in my book. What do I want to do? Well, I want to do a proper long-term drive of this thing, or at least a week drive, so that we understand how these cars behave, because dynamically it's phenomenal. I mean, look at this thing. It's handling well. It does very well for an SUV, an electric SUV for that matter. So see you guys in long format video, or actually the full in-depth review of the Macan EV soon on our channel. Now it's time for me to continue driving the Macan Turbo, and then drive the Taycan tomorrow. See you guys in the next one.